Hey there! So today we have another review, and this is a special one. This is Brouwerij Bosteels Kwak. So I actually lost the label on this one, but this is a Belgian Imperial Amber Ale, 8.4%. And interesting story about this beer. So in the Napoleonic era, stagecoachers were not actually allowed to ride and drink beer. So they actually made a way so they could like attach the glass onto the stagecoach. So in 1980, Pavel Kwak made a beer, this beer, Kwak, and then he actually made a special glass with it. So inspired by that story, there is this crazy glass that comes with it. It looks like a huge kind of like when you go to fair festivals or beaches, you get those huge plastic, like thin, like vessels for drinking pina colada, whatever they serve in those. And then it's actually smaller in that size, but made out of glass. And then there's a big wooden thing that attaches to it, and you sort of drink like that. I've only probably used that like once in my life, but if you go to a Belgian beer bar, maybe they'll have it specifically for this beer. But let's dig into this one. This, by the way, is also the same brewery that does triple carmelite, so one of my favorite triples out there. Beer comes in a deep amber to actually look more like towards a copper color, pretty dark on there, and then tan head. Let's get the aroma. Ooh. Lot on that nose. There's Granny Smith apple. There's tons of rich apple character. There's both the richness of sweet baked apples, but then also the slight kind of tart skin in there. Bananas, dates, a little bit of cooked kind of like plum character. Rich sweetness, but yeah, nice tartness dancing in there. And then there's also like a light kind of like grape vinous kind of quality. The Belgian yeast is going nuts in this. There's so much going on. Before I keep yapping, let's dig in the beer. Wow. First thing I'll say about this beer is that I would recommend enjoying it slightly colder and let it warm up because the beer is boozy. 8.4%. It will be boozy, but it works well. The upfront flavor is an explosion. There's so much going on. Between the malt complexity, the yeast just like going nuts, and the alcohol, there's a lot to say about this beer. Up front, prunes, slightly sweet dates, a little bit of light kind of ripe banana, tons of apple. Just like I'm thinking caramel, candied apple. I'm also thinking a little bit of like baked apple, a little bit of tart skin in there. Caramel drives for days, a little bit of light brown sugar. Spices relatively hidden, maybe a little bit of cardamom, light clove character, decently dry, but there is that little bit of residual sweetness, a little bit of kind of like chewy bread crust, toastiness in there. More of that light caramel flavor, more of that light brown sugar. There's a lot to say about this beer. Carbonation is medium plus, not as quite carbonated as something like a maybe not as carbonated as a something like Duvel Belgian pale strong ale or a quad, but decently carbonated, and just like waiting for it. The complexity of the fruits sort of like die away, but then you're stuck with like some of the alcohol and the malt richness that sort of like lingers on the back end. A little bit sticky on the lips, but just dies away quite quickly, being a Belgian ale that's like a little bit more carbonated and then like decently dry. Absolutely delicious. This is where I really like some big Belgian beer. It really, I think, sells me better on the style on this kind of beer than something like a Belgian quad. For some reason, that beer is just that style is generally just so dry, doesn't really have the flavor profile that I prefer, and then just like the carbonation like scrubs a little too hard. This one sort of reminds me of something like you know what? I think of it as something like Belgian barley wine or something like that. It's like sweet, complex, and you don't even need barrel character on there. And the sweetness rides quite nicely. And instead of having barrel character drying out the beer, you have the beer being attenuated and carbonated to a sense that it's drying, but it has those rich kind of notes that you get from something like a barley wine. And then it still has that whisper of Belgianness to it, so that like you're getting some of my favorite Belgian beers are Belgian triples or Belgian golden strong ale. So then, has that kind of characteristic to it. It's been probably 2 years since I've had this beer, and it is delicious. So wasn't expecting too much digging into this one, but I highly recommend it. As for rating, some might call it a boozy mess, though. It's a little bit of a boozy mess because there's just so much impact on there. This is not a finesse beer. This is a lot of impact. Let's go with I like it. 92. 92 on Quack. Interesting. Brouwerij Bosteels Kwak getting a 92 from me. Very interesting rating. Until next time, guys. Cheers. Later.